guys, welcome friends and family. My name is Skylent and I've played so many freaking MMOs, but every time I try to talk to someone in real life about what I do, even though it's not specifically MMOs, I have to say, well, my most popular videos are MMOs. Do you know what an MMO is? And they're like, oh yeah, like that they're World of Warcrafty. And then it always devolves into people, either they play MMOs or they hate MMOs. I think that we need to make some videos to help people get into this genre. I'm gonna be killing it with kindness here. So here I am going to lay out my favorite and I think what are the best MMOs that don't have subscription fees. I think generally sub fees are prohibitive for people to get into the genre. Sub fees are the most in your face. Yeah, I'm not paying $15 a month for that. Exactly. So if you want to find a good game that you can try out for relatively cheap or maybe even free, these are the games that I found very fair. My consumer to service experience and overall my experience playing the games have been very good. So yeah, trust me or not, I don't know, but I'm gonna try to give you the deets here. Let's jump into it. Okay, so starting out our top 5, I really distilled it down into kind of the biggest, coolest games out there that really do you justice when it comes to jumping into the game and really, getting you into the entire genre. The first one I want to mention is ArcheAge Unchained. And specifically, ArcheAge, now called ArcheAge Unchained, was created because people did not like the free-to-play and pay-to-win system that existed previously. So now the game is more balanced, more fair. It still has, some issues, at least so far that I've seen with the launch, but overall people are enjoying and promoting ArcheAge Unchained, and overall it's a very fair game. It's a little messy, it might be a little bit convoluted for someone who is just getting into the genre, but again, this is just best MMO without sub fees. So ArcheAge is really exciting, being a sandbox MMO, being a game that you can kind of mix and match classes. It's kind of complicated, okay? It's a little bit complex, a little bit of depth there, and a little bit confusing, but overall I think it's a very fair that you just get the box and then you can play the game. Now, there is an optional subscription kind of service that they have. You don't have to participate with that, though. In a lot of other games, I would argue you really do need to. They come in all sorts of different shapes and forms, which is why I curated my list, I guess you could say, the way that I did. But ArcheAge Unchained, I think it's a really exciting game for a lot of people who maybe have tried MMOs but couldn't get one to stick. This might be the one that sticks. But for brand new baby faces, I will say probably skip this one, and you might want to go and play some games that are coming up later on the list. All right, number 4, I've got RuneScape. A little bit funny because it actually does famously have a subscription fee, and it only has a subscription fee, at least for old school 07 RuneScape, which is the one that I'm going to really be promoting, and that's the one that is available on mobile devices right now at the moment. I've actually been talking to a lot of people because I have a side gig where I actually work at a hostel, tons of people traveling, and they talk to me about mobile games because I'm obviously a freaking nerd, and they're like, yo, you play that RuneScape? I'm like, yeah, I play that RuneScape, and then we talk about it, and it's really cool because most of them are new players to MMOs, despite the fact that RuneScape really appeals to an older, more nostalgic audience. It's actually a pretty hardcore grinding game. But yeah, RuneScape does have a subscription fee, and you need it to play most of the game to unlock all the abilities, the skills, the quests, and things like that. But here's my reasoning for this. One, the OG version of RuneScape, which is now the free-to-play version, is substantial. There's tons of fun to be had. You need to play it. You need to give it a shot. I don't care how it looks to you, if you think you're gonna like it or not. Trust me, this is good stuff. Debatably, it is the best stuff. Next, you can easily earn the subscription, or you can buy a bond, a RuneScape bond, inside of the game. The game is really meant to be kind of played almost like replayed and regrinded. Many players do. There's this really awesome funneling economy of new players always coming into RuneScape, or old players making new accounts, especially because of the Iron Man mode where you die, then you have to restart. But anyways, RuneScape, a lot of people, there's tons of guides out there if you need help, do actually go from the free-to-play, grind it out, because the game is very grind-oriented. It's all about being efficient and gaining power, gaining power, learning how to actually manipulate the world and the economy around you, and making lots of money, fuck bitches, kill dragons. That's what it's all about. So yeah, you can earn the bonds from the free-to-play version, and you can play RuneScape totally free-to-play, and it's almost like incentivized in a way. Of course, you can buy the sub fee, make it easy, and just jump into the members' content. Totally can do that, or you cannot. You don't need to do that. I promise you. So out of all the other games like Albion Online, which is a competitor, World of Warcraft even does this, all the other games that might have a system similar to this, RuneScape is the most fair and easiest to jump into. So that's why I really wanted to promote it. Okay, so halfway on our list of the top 5, I've got Elder Scrolls Online, which again, actually does have a sub fee. I know they technically do have a sub fee, but they're all optional. Now, Elder Scrolls Online goes an extra step further. Not only is the subscription fee completely optional, but also like everything in the game is optional. I don't think I can explain the entire thing right here, but basically Elder Scrolls Online, it is an Elder Scrolls game. Some people would be like, it's not anything like Skyrim. Really, depending on your build and your mentality, it's very, very freaking similar, especially now with all the updates. I'm running dungeons and stuff, and I'm playing as like a vampiric, kind of stealthy healer. I'm having a lot of fun with it. But Elder Scrolls Online, it is an Elder Scrolls game. It really feels almost like a single player game where you see lots of other players, and that's a good and bad thing. But overall, this is probably the best game to get people into the MMO genre by far. If I have to make a new list of best MMOs for new players, this is the number 1, so definitely to be checking this one out. But the expansion packs even are optional. Like you can buy the individual DLCs if you want to. You can use the sub fees, and you have just like all these options. You don't even have to have them. You don't have to buy these expansions, which is going to happen in games like World of Warcraft, where it's like you need the sub fee first of all, you need to buy the game to even play it, and then you need the expansions because that's where all of the content is. But Elder Scrolls Online is just so much more fair. Gives you those options and the ability to pick and choose which DLCs you want, which is great. They're DLCs. They're not just expansion packs. They're DLCs. And overall, it's a very cheap game, which at the moment of uploading, it's actually free right now, and you might be able to get it on sale very soon. So yeah, I really appreciate this game. This is the number 1 for new players. Definitely check it out. Yeah, well, number 2, I'm gonna put Black Desert Online. This is a game that I've covered a lot, and it's kind of dubious because Black Desert Online does have some systems in place that can squeeze a lot of money out of you. You know, like their outfits can be like 20 bucks or something like that, maybe even more. There's just a lot of things to buy in the cash shop, from housing customizations, right? Boats, mounts, like horse armor, like literally. There's a lot that you can buy and spend money on in Black Desert Online, like pets. But you can also earn that in-game through events or through the auction house. So, you know, it's a little bit of a gray area with that. Black Desert Online is also a very grindy game. So not exactly the most newcomer friendly, but if you are an MMO veteran, especially an action RPG veteran, because Black Desert Online is definitely an MMO action RPG. So if you like games like Diablo or maybe Path of Exile, but you want like a, you know, over-the-shoulder camera and set in a sandbox universe, that's BDO. But also keep in mind, because I've done a lot of videos on this topic, you can play the game actually as a pacifist. You can just life skill and trade and auction house and literally run around on a boat and just you know, sail around. You can do that. Okay, it's fun stuff. But Black Desert Online is like a $5 game. I think it's $10, but it's like always on sale. It is free to play in certain regions, but of course the pay to win is more egregious. You can also get this game, and then you don't need to buy anything in the shops. It helps, but if you play long enough, you can actually accrue those things often, like very often. There is, I think, technically an optional subscription fee when it comes to, like, there's a thing called a value pack, which allows you to customize your dyes, your colors. It gives you an increased weight limit and just other like quality of life things that, again, you don't need, and you often get those just from playing the game or logging back in every once in a while. So Black Desert Online. In terms of like Korean games, I know this that's a high standard, but in terms of Korean MMO, it's probably debatably the most fair for the most amount of people. I have to again say that because depending on your perspective, BDO is debatably pay to win depending on how you play, because it's extremely grindy, and if you spend money, you can grind faster. You know, it makes the life so much easier. But then again, you can pick up the game and pay very little money and have a very unique experience when it is the most gorgeous MMO out there. So, you know, worth looking at, I think. And finally, number 1, best MMO without subscription fee, I'm going to put Guild Wars 2. Now, the original Guild Wars was not an MMO, it was an action RPG, or I guess it's just a co-op RPG that was famous for not having a subscription fee. This was kind of at a time when World of Warcraft was at its height, and we just had, like, you know, the EverQuest boom, so sub fees was kind of the norm. So Guild Wars 1 kind of switching it up, that was really epic. Guild Wars 2 followed suit. Now, Guild Wars 2 has changed a little bit with its cash shop, but let me just tell you a little bit about the base game. game. Basically, it's free to play, actually. The base vanilla game, which I spent 99% of my time, and this is my most played MMO, yeah, that's free. All the cool seasonal events, all those jumping puzzles, those open world bosses, the epicosity, the campaign, all of it, okay, is free to play. Now, of course, they do have expansions which you can buy. They often do go on sale, but they are full price expansions. They do literally expand the game and change the gameplay radically, but those are kind of like standalone little adventures in a way, though you do need, you need to buy them to play them. But as a free to play, it's pretty cool. Regardless, there is no sub fee. You do have a cash op system where you can actually buy gold in game, which is extremely expensive. I know personally no one that has ever done that, but you can actually do that. But for the most part, Guild Wars 2 is horizontal progression. So unlike Black Desert, whatever that might expedite your gold income or expedite you getting some new item, for the most part, it doesn't matter. Really, and if anything does matter, it's like very percent of a percent, very small windows of like pay to win. If you really want to squint, that's like, I don't know. I think people would laugh at me if it even saying that, but I'm trying to look at it from everyone's perspective. For the most part, it is extremely fair. There's a lot of quality of life stuff though in the cash shop, and I really don't like how expensive their costumes are, just like Black Desert Online, because Guild Wars 2 is all about customizing your character and getting the dyes and making cool stuff, but it kind of does suck that they put like some of the coolest armors in the cash shop only versus being earnables. We can really nitpick, but I think most people around the planet who play MMOs would say Guild Wars 2, especially because that is like their mission, that's kind of like their moral of making the game. It is the most fair MMO when it comes to trying to break the norm, though at the same time, now that time has passed, their cash shop is pretty big, from like mining picks that never break. You probably do want to spend money on bank spaces, inventory spaces, things like that. The game can get pretty annoying. So, but that's going to be like pretty much every game, but Guild Wars 2 definitely. For as much as I want to applaud it for not having a sub fee and having an amazing substantial game that's given to you for free or very, very cheap, overall, it's an incredibly fair game, but over time, they are, increasing the cash shop's number of monetization schemes, that are intertwining them. So I love options, but I don't like it when all those options are weighted in mostly making my game a little bit more uncomfortable to incentivize me to buy them. But yeah, best game without a sub fee, to me, hands down. Now, I think for every game on this list, I was somewhat detrimental to incentivizing players to play MMOs, but that's kind of also the point, guys, I think these are the best MMOs without sub fees, but every single one kind of makes a sacrifice in price or in confusion, or, you have to do some weird thing like in RuneScape where you have to actually like earn it in game, and that's not really obvious at first. There's a lot of confusion, and that, that's just how the genre is, and it's awkward, and I'm sorry. It's a very sad state that we're in, that we need videos like this to kind of begin to explain things, and even at that, there really needs to be whole entire videos to explain just the cash shops, just the monetization of one game, and maybe I'll do that, but I try to do my reviews as honest as possible, as biting and as edgy, while still trying to keep that hype alive, and hopefully you guys appreciate that. If you do, you might want to look at the Patreon. You can actually one-time donate to me with the link in the description, or you can join a Discord, join the conversation in the comments below as well. Regardless, guys, all I can ask is that you had fun. So much love. My name's Skylent, and I'll see you in the next one.